Don't call me Superman if you haven't found my kryptonite.
What is going on YouTube? It is the Big K Cobbs 360 here, and AMD unveiled the RX 480. How much does it cost, Cobbs? $199. No one was expecting this. Everyone was thinking, okay, AMD's Polaris 10 chip, it's gonna be $299 or $250 or something, somewhere between $250 and $350 US. Nope. They launched it at $199. Now, of course, they unveiled it at Computex. You might be asking, Cobbs, man, when is this card actually dropping? Well, it's dropping on the 29th of June. So if you want to pick that one up, you're going to wait about a month, bro. I'm sorry for you guys if you really want to buy one right now, but you still got to wait. Now, of course, what is so good about this card? What is in it? Well, it comes in two variants, essentially. There's the 4GB variant, which is going to launch at $199, obviously. And there's an 8GB variant, which will be at about, I don't know, $229-ish. It's going to be based on GCN4. It's going to have all the new improvements, all the new AMD technologies. We're going to have that 14nm FinFET process, which is obviously giving AMD massive improvements in efficiency and power to performance ratio. Of course, how much power, raw power, do these cards, or does this card actually have? Some people are saying 5.5 teraflops. AMD in this slide just said above 5 teraflops. So to put that in comparison, that's around an R9 390 level. Now, of course, that does not actually mean that this card is as good as an R9 390. It could be better. I'd assume it's going to be better than the 390, not necessarily worse, but it could go either way. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is teraflops isn't a hard measurement of performance, because it's just like there's always disparities. Like if you watch one of Adore TV's recent videos, I believe he compared the 1080 and the 1070, sorry, and they're like advertised teraflops, and compared it against the 980 Ti and the 980, and the relative difference in teraflops by percentage did not equal the relative difference in actual real-world performance. So there was a disparity there. So that's why it's hard to really say how a card will perform based purely on the amount of teraflops it has, because it's just one of those things where it just doesn't work like that, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not gonna really talk about it a lot, but I'm just telling you guys right now, just so you know. So anyway, look, $199 US. AMD also said that in an Ashes of the Singularity benchmark, two 480s, which are running at 51% utilization each, was able to outperform a 1080 by around 4 to 5 FPS. I believe the two 480s was on like 63 or some shit, and the 1080 was on like 58 or 59, something like that. Like, it wasn't a big difference, but it was there. And the whole 51% utilization thing is very interesting, because why were they running at 51% utilization? Now, of course, there's a few different reasons for this, sorry. I mean, number one, maybe the game, I mean, it is Ashes of the Singularity, it is heavily CPU limited, so maybe the GPUs didn't need to be used that much? I don't know, because the 1080 was running at like 98 or 99% utilization. Could be something wrong with the crossfire profiles, I don't really know. But yeah, so pretty much for $400, you get at least equal performance, or around the performance of a 1080, for around, what, $200 less, because I believe a 1080 is $599 and $699 respectively. If you want a good 1080, you're gonna be more towards I don't know, the $650 range, because obviously the $599 1080s will be like full reference, and then the good ones are going to be a little bit more expensive, and the Founders Edition is ridiculous. Let's not even talk about it. But pretty much AMD is saying for cheaper, if you crossfire these cards, you're paying less and you're getting more performance. Now, let's not all get hyped just yet, because we still have to wait for legit benchmarks, third-party benchmarks to come out. And speaking of benchmarks, this Ashes of the Singularity benchmark, what they showed in the stream is quite interesting, because there was a clear disparity in the level of graphical performance between the two screens. Like, they showed the 1080s benchmark on one side and the dual 480s on the other, and the 1080 one looked like it was running at a higher setting. However, I actually went and looked at some of like the AMD, like the Ashes of the Singularity profile, like it's called Radeon Demo or some shit, and I saw them do multiple benchmarks of the 1080 and of the Polaris 10 chips in SLI, sorry, fuck, I was about to say X-Fired and I said, oh my god, in Crossfire, and they were getting pretty much the same performance. I mean, on the crazy preset 1440p, the 480s were getting at about, you know, a 5,000 score, if that makes sense. I'm just going straight off score because that's the best thing to do it off. And the 1080 was getting between 4700 and 5100. So it kind of makes sense, but there's a disparity in the numbers there because the frame rates definitely were not the same. They were actually lower on both sides. So AMD was overstating not only their own benchmarks of their own card, but of the 1080, which kind of doesn't make sense. It's likely that they did it on another profile, and what I was looking at was something different. But meh, who knows? I'll put all of that in the description for you guys to look at yourself. But essentially, what this is it's a very nice GPU. I mean, if it's obviously performing between a 390 and a Fury X, so it's in that range, probably more towards the 390 range. But regardless, for $199 US, guys, that is absolutely insane. It's really good. I mean, if it performs as good as AMD claims it does, then AMD really would have, or they are going to capture the VR market, and they're going to really get a lot of market share out of this chip. I'm telling you guys, man. Of course, it doesn't perform as good as a 1080 or a 1070. I mean, it might get close to the 1070 if it's overclocked. I mean, those FinFETs should be providing some insane clock speeds. I mean, we don't actually know the clock speed of Polaris 10 at the moment, but yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see, because this is gonna be very, very interesting, man. So look, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and tell me what you think about AMD's new RX 480 GPU. And speaking of RX, why is it called the RX? I mean, is it supposed to be the R9 480X and then they're just bringing the X over? Or are they going to start calling everything RX now? Because it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't believe this is a full fat Polaris chip either. I think this only has 2,304 stream processors, which would mean it's probably not the full fat one. I believe the full fat one should have more than that. But I'm going off the top of my head. I might be wrong. If I am, I am. But if I'm not, I'm not. And look, I will see you guys pretty much later. Enjoy, man. This is just, it's insane. It's just a hype train.